Hey, how are you? Um, we're going to talk about AI and acquisition. Before we get too far, I just want to give sort of an overview because this feels like it feels so big, right? It feels like something is so monumental that's about to happen. I do want to sort of like temper your expectations though, because I think the hype machine is running a little bit ahead of the actuality. That doesn't mean that the hype machine is not right. It's just early. So I think we all want to take a deep breath and like just get cool where we are and know that we've got tools are emerging and concepts are emerging that are going to fundamentally change everything that we do as marketers. However, not yet. So I've got a great set of panelists coming up, but before we get to that, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Tim. I've been doing digital marketing stuff since 1997, which is, Alexia, you were born then, right?
Which is 1 year before I got born.
Okay,
so
all right. So
young.
And I'm not old. Anyways, so I've been doing this for a long time. And I've had a couple of agencies, worked with all sorts of brands like Nike and E-Trade and Home Depot and all that sort of stuff. And now I mostly coach agencies, but for marketers, I can help you either find an agency or tell you if your agency is doing the right thing by you. But right now, I would like to jump in and get my panelists here because they are awesome. All right. And how do I bring them in? I have no idea.
I'm gonna help you with that.
All
and
right,
I'm gonna fade out. Good luck.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. Cool. We're all here. So with me today, I've got three fantastic speakers, people who are doing like cuckoo crazy stuff. First, I'd like to introduce Dale Bertrand from Fire and Spark. I've known Dale for a long time. We've worked together. He is, he could be the biggest SEO nerd that I have ever met. And I used to be an SEO nerd, so that's actually really high praise. And he's also one of the most dynamic thinkers about AI. He has been investing AI into his processes and his thinking for, I don't know, probably close to 2 years at this point. It's, you've done all sorts of incredible work. So I'd love for you to tell everybody a little bit about Fire and Spark, and then we'll introduce everybody else.
Yep. So I run Fire and Spark. We're an SEO agency. We're 25 people in Boston. We only do SEO, so we don't claim to be world-class at anything other than SEO. And my relevant background, I have a technical background, studied engineering undergrad, but I studied AI in grad school. So I've been watching AI for a while. And at my agency, we started implementing AI before ChatGPT. So it's been more than 3 years that we've been implementing it. And we focus on e-commerce and healthcare. So we've done a lot in the e-commerce space, for optimizing AI search platforms, but also using AI tools to do marketing.
All right. And by the way, Fire and Spark, super great agency. All right, next up, we've got Ahmed El Naggar, who from Go Audience, which is a YC-funded company that has just like totally exploded, and they do really nifty stuff in using AI to help you find the right audiences for advertising. It makes finding audiences across multiple platforms just like stupid easy. It's dumb how easy this is. And the audiences are really good. But I will let you tell everyone about that.
Thanks, Tim. Hey, everyone. My name is Ahmed, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Go Audience. We are a startup, but before that, I have been in the e-commerce twice. And I experienced firsthand the gap between when you place an ad and the actual conversion that happens on your website. that it's a complete black box, that no one knows about it, and brands just like they spend and they don't know if they're reaching the right people or why those traffic is not buying. And that's why we built Go Audience. So the objective is to kill the black box completely. And as Tim said, we use AI to help consumer brands find high intent buyers and turn them into customers. And for that, we use the credit card spending data of 200 million US consumers. So since we know who spends on what, we have an AI model that can tell you these are the right audiences for you based on their credit card spending. So
But
that's
it's
what we do.
not gross, and you don't know on the individual level.
Yeah.
So you don't know that I just bought dog food this morning. Or at least you probably won't know that till this afternoon.
I know that you bought it yesterday, but and I can send you an ad, but we don't see it's Tim. We just like know that we
Okay, all right.
this
Thank goodness.
profile.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, and next we've got Eduardo Samayoa from Thinker, which is a super exciting early stage SaaS platform that lets you basically have a chat GPT experience with all of the data in your e-commerce store. Everything from customer records to campaign performance to customer service issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Tim, for having me. Yeah, at Thinker, we're really solving, how, agencies and e-commerce users don't know what's next. They want to ask questions. They want to brainstorm with a ChatGPT kind of experience. You can connect over 300 platforms, that data sources into a single chat. So you can really get the whole universe of your store in a single chat-like experience. And with that, get growth insights, etc. With this, you can deploy agents that help you do tasks as well. And something that we really find successful is, helping those users and agencies help scale because they have more time. So they're not as busy and doing 1,000 things at the same time. I've been a previous e-commerce owner from a marketplace, and so I know the struggle and how it is, and now we're solving it. So thank you, Tim, for having me.
Okay, all right. So we've got there's a couple of things I really want to think about, and the first one is it's just general visibility, around how people now find products. So I know that my kids, basically, they're my teenagers. They only find products via TikTok shop. Like that's it. They get excited about things they see on TikTok. My wife only goes to Amazon. And there seems to be this sort of growing disconnect. And then this is, I think, Dale, you've got probably a lot to say here. Is there's a bunch of things that are changing. And as I was talking to someone the other day, I realized that for a lot of businesses, their website is it's the tail end of the experience, right? And so by the time all the decisioning or much of the decisioning is happening before they actually get to your website, so that when someone comes there, they probably already know if they're going to buy from you or not. And I'd love to understand, what's the impact of sort of AI overviews on search? ChatGPT is now suggesting products and all that sort of how are we going to find products in the next 12 months?
And that question is directed towards me.
Yeah, well, it's directed towards everyone, but I want you to answer first.
Oh, well, I will answer first. So we've all been spoiled with inbound marketing tactics. So what SEO used to mean for a long time for e-commerce sites was you add a blog. The blog generates a bunch of traffic, and maybe some of it buys, and that's what we were doing for SEO. But now that, like you're saying, Tim, our customers are going to be doing their research not on our websites, but in an AI tool. That is absolutely huge, because it means we're no longer going to get that top of funnel traffic when they're in the initial stages of researching a purchase. So that traffic is going away. In some cases, it's already gone, and we don't expect to get it back. So instead, we're optimizing for a world where customers are they're landing on our website after being educated on an AI platform, and we need to create content for the middle of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel to convert them at the end of the day. And one thing to keep in mind is like the old SEO tactic of adding a blog to your e-com site. That was generating traffic, but it just wasn't the best traffic. It wasn't the most converting traffic anyway. It was really generating traffic, usually without a ton of conversion.
Okay, so if Google traffic, or if search traffic is now moving, or product specific or research traffic is now moving towards AI experiences, like what is happening to like all of that stuff that in Google, like editorial sites, certainly search ads, and even like Facebook is changing a little bit, and you're getting sort of you're getting different kind of experiences via their via AI chat. So what's the shakeout going to be here in terms of marketers having to do different and weird stuff that they've never done before? Because I remember back in the day when optimizing your product page titles was really high impact, or putting the right H1 somewhere. But what is happening like now? How do you get an LLM to know who you are? How do you get visibility into your your ads when I think a lot of people have a lot of distrust for ads at the moment, especially the edge of avatars that actually seem humanish. What are the skills that we're going to have to need to? What are the skills marketers are going to have to learn? And that's to anybody. Just jump in. Do not be shy. Speak up.
I can jump in here.
Go. Talk. Yes. Let's go.
I would jump. I would say like what I have in mind. Like I think so. Google would still be there. It's not going anywhere. At least in the 12 months that you asked the question. So Google would still be there until we see like
of course
what's gonna happen next. But yeah, like Perplexity, shopping. Now you go for the first thing when I search for something, I go for ChatGPT or Perplexity and search for it first, and then see what results I will get, and then get from there. But also, I still believe ads is going to be important, and marketeers should be more of a proactive approach and should be creative on where they are placing their new form of blogs. Where do they get? Because at the end, LLMs, they get the sources from the internet. They don't get it from they don't create actual content. So they get the content that's already existing. But they have some sort of ranking in a different way that Google is doing. So we need still to do the different type of SEO, which I'm sure Dale is way more experienced than me than that. But the new type of SEO that is optimized for the LLMs so that they can show you and they can promote your product. So this is what I think is going. So yeah.
Eduardo, I wanted to get your take here.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, as you say, as they optimize with new LLMs, I think there's a concept pretty early still about how agents will talk to agents and how we're designing the platforms where we sell. And in that aspect, we have to design them so that search engines, as Perplexity, as you mentioned, Ahmed, and other agents that are looking and scraping the internet will understand and communicate better. Tim, you mentioned placing the right H1. That similar concept will continue. It'll be different, but we're still going to have to design so that LLMs understand our platforms better and understands our product and our value better. So this concept stays the same. We're just changing in how we communicate to the newer technology.
Yeah, and I really want to add to it that knowing your customers is important. Like if you back up a little bit, like how things are changing is we all got drunk and used to the idea that all of our customers are searching on Google. And if we can capture them either organically or paid, then that's how we grow our businesses. But now that they're using a number of different platforms, it's more important for us to understand how are our customers searching. And then for you and the audience that you're going after, where's that audience hanging out online? Like what influencers, what communities, and basically focusing in on the right platforms, the right communities for your audience is what is important. It was, for a while, it was a one size fits all, which is everybody's on Google. And to the extent that that is starting to wane, then it's time for us as marketers to do marketing and figure out where our customers are.
Okay, so now that we've kind of so all the platforms that on the advertising side and even to a large extent actually absolutely on the SEO side, all the platforms have been largely like black boxes. They don't share exactly what makes something work, with good reason, I suppose. But there have been all sorts of because marketers ruin everything. We took things like real user-generated content, and we turned it into a whole fake industry of user-generated content, right? And now we're turning it into a real fake industry of AI avatars that emulate the fake user-generated content people. It's cuckoo. But there's still this idea that the platforms want you to think that they know best and that their data is so much deeper, more sophisticated, and accurate than data that you might have, or you might think, or your insight into your customer base might be. And I guess the question, and Ahmed, I wanted to get your thought on this first, which is, is that true? Do those platforms, Meta, they see everything that we do online. Is there room for our own unique data and our own unique thinking to help them create a better outcome for us, or is it we're just we just throw stuff up against the wall and the platform decides what's good?
That's a great point. That's exactly what I'm up for. So just I will go a bit back. So for the last 10 years, those platforms went from giving the power that you can literally target an ad to your roommate from placing an ad, to now the slot machine style. So it's a complete black box. You're playing slot machines or playing roulette. One time it will get, one time it will not. But you cannot understand what's happening. It's a complete casino business. So for now, you couldn't change anything. But I believe now with the new technologies and with AI being there is a way. And there is which I think is going to be the big thing, which is called traffic scoring, that if you can see who is coming to your website from those ads, you can see their full demographics, you can see their analytics, you can see their previous spending data. And you run an AI model that can tell you, oh, this campaign, this platform is giving you good traffic, that these people, for example, you sell a product for kids, and you can see that those who are coming to your website are parents, this is their income, this is their this. So,
right, so if you're doing some visitor de-anonymization, right?
Yeah, coupling it with monitoring the every single visitor's performing and actions on your website, and enriching it with some of their demographic and historic spending data. Put all those together, and then you can see every single lead coming from a campaign. Is it a good lead or a bad lead? And then you can judge, is this campaign doing well or not? If it's bad, close it. If it's good, then. So this gives you some sort of power that you don't need to wait until all your budgets finish, because small brands, they don't have enough runway to keep like testing and testing and testing.
Right.
So you can immediately see, oh yeah, the score is good here, the score is bad here. And they see that this is a direction that is going to happen because in e-commerce, there's enormous amount of data. And with now, you have AI models that can easily analyze this data and give you instant results and even take actions on behalf of you. Increase a budget, cut an ad, take a next action. So this is where I believe is the power is getting back again to the brand over the platform, not only staying there. In addition, of course, to targeting the ad from the beginning, like who to send your ad to, by giving your own data to that ad. So that's what I believe.
So, by the way, that's like a really interesting take. The fact that you feel like this, that AI, which, like the general thought is like AI does stuff without us, and you're actually talking about it giving us more power, which I think is an interesting, is a very optimistic and interesting take.
I believe it's going to be a good co-pilot.
Eduardo, so the way Eduardo's platform works is like you install this app in your Shopify store, you connect all your ad platforms to it, and then you just ask questions or like, what should I buy more of or whatever. Are my stock levels okay? Is this campaign doing well? So it just allows you to have this sort of intense, deep relationship with your stored data. And I know that you don't see the results that come back, but you do see the questions that people ask. And so what are the kinds of questions that they're asking, relative to acquisition? Are they concerned that, ads are performing well or not well? Or are they concerned about being on channels or not being on channels? What are the things that really make you, that really put you,
So as I've seen, definitely our users, as they start using and asking questions with our platform, they start learning things and certain aspects of the stores that they didn't know. So before you had, the biggest problem was that your data was siloed. Something that was going on in your e-commerce store, but was going on in your Google ads, wasn't really connecting through correctly with, your meta ads. So siloed, was killing growth, was killing decision-making, siloed data. No? So that's the first thing that people start realizing, okay, I can cross-chat question through my data. So the first immediate behavior is starting to realize the power that they have now and how they can have contextualized answers. What does this mean? The LLM will understand different contexts from your different data sources and give you a much better answer. So that's initially killing a lot of dashboarding. We don't use dashboards whatsoever. So the dashboarding era, I think it's changing for sure. I wouldn't call it as ending, but it's definitely changing. So the interaction with our data and the interaction with technology and the human orchestration of AI is changing how we receive the data. So they're asking questions of, per store performance. It's super important, to get store performance that involves sales, that involves marketing, that involves, customer returns. We'll see very interesting and perhaps more profound questions. For example, tell me something about my promotion that I don't know. Tell me something about my marketing campaign that I don't know. And then the LM will go out, the AI will find the solution, will find an answer that, perhaps is not reasonable to expect humans to know this, because it's looking at million data points and bringing you an answer. Yeah. So we're getting, as they get used to using and question, it changed the involvement with this store for sure. We see that. And then finally, we're seeing less and less decision analysis paralysis. So you might say there's so much data. There's, I don't know if to go more into Meta. I don't know if to go into Google. I don't know if to, buy more inventory, forecasting, etc. With, the LLM experience, you can really prioritize and have that brainstorming conversation with the LLM and really enhance the power of AI and do better decisions for your store.
Okay. By the way, I do see that there are some questions in the chat. We will get to those, so we will have time for Q&A. Promise. Like, we're not going to leave you hanging. But Dale, when you're thinking about how to sort of build your visibility inside of an LLM or in a search overview or anything, it certainly seems to be it certainly seems to be sort of a multimodal approach, right? Because there's stuff that you do on your site, there's your connections to other sites, there's your mentions, it seems to be a much more fluid kind of data than has traditionally been in SEO, because even though SEO has changed dramatically, the rankings, for the most part, the people who are at the top tend to stay at the top because they've got the right scale and all that kind of stuff. And I think it seems to be changing a little bit, or re-democratizing a little bit inside of LLMs. But do you think that that's going to be the same moving forward, that large companies will continue to win the visibility race?
So I do a full day workshop on this, so I'll give you like the 30-second. So
you can take a whole minute, man.
Optimizing for AI platforms is fundamentally different from SEO. The advice that I give that you'll get from other folks is, you want to have solid SEO. So that's really a starting point, and that's really the right thing. But from there, you want to make sure that you're targeting the right intents so that the AI platforms can match your content to the right conversations or searches, but sometimes they're just conversations. And you want to make sure you're relevant. So that's a lot of times I say SEO plus relevance. So that's making sure that you've got semantically relevant content, semantically dense sections of your content. And then you want to make sure that your content is clear. So you can imagine headings that might be specific questions or related to specific questions, and then a one-sentence answer at the beginning of your paragraph, and then a very dense, and when I say dense, I mean like not fluff content, but like one paragraph that answers the question that is implied by the heading. Like that's one of the things we're doing. And then mentions matter, like mentions of your products, mentions of your brand. So when it comes to digital PR, we used to do digital PR for backlinks, and powerful, hard to get backlinks are still important, but you want to make sure you get like your brand name out there as much as possible, and that it's associated with the terms you want it to be associated with, like Nike and shoes, or Nike and sneakers, like, your brand with whatever you want it to be associated with. And then also like the layout of your content matters. So making sure that it's logically structured. These different sections that you have that are semantically relevant and semantically dense are organized in a logical way on the content pages. Like we're putting things on our content pages like Q&A with concise answers, and then also call out boxes and comparisons and things like that, so that the AI can just yank what it needs.
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions that I'm just thinking of right now. So how does that sort of fundamental like content structure, like lend itself to better informing audience choices? So like you've got this idea, or Eduardo, like you now have a better understanding of what channels are driving sales. And we know more about the actual people that are doing it. So how do we make all this stuff work together? So customer data, audience data, individual visitor data, and this idea of well-structured content that has an impact on visibility. How do all those three things work together? And go ahead and make stuff up if you need to. Just jump in. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, as you said, there's so much context and there's so much data. How is this all getting wrapped together? We're using LLMs as translators, basically. All these data points, all these different contexts, all these different channels, sources. Those are something that can be ingested and translated to more chewable, bite-sized information that we can make decisions on. So that's where we
So
really
give me an
leveraging-
example. So try to give me
Before-
a specific example of what kind of information.
Yeah, so for example, you want to understand how many people are visiting your store, which pages in your e-commerce are being clicked, what products are being clicked, all that walkthroughs through your e-commerce versus, what campaign is pointing them at it. You can cross-reference, start seeing all in one single chat, exactly all the user journey, where they're coming from Meta ads, from Google ads, from email, Klaviyo, etc. And you can cross-reference that into a very digestible chat experience. But
we already have that data. It's a little bit harder to get to, but you see that from Google Analytics for the most part, right? So
absolutely.
And so, where does the integration show up? Where does if I wanted to understand campaign to user journey to conversion, I already have access to that information.
Correct.
Getting to it through a different format or a different modality is cool, but where does all this stuff come together so that we're making better or different decisions?
Yeah, that's where the generative AI, and I said as AI as translators, are giving you actionable items, actionable suggestions. Do this because we've seen this behavior from the customer walking in from the Google Analytics. Do X, Y, and Z, and we suggest, we predict, we forecast that your sales will change by X amount. So we are able to forecast that thanks to the power of generative AI and LLMs.
All right,
and adding.
So how do this is direct connection to you. Is there a way for eventually you to get that sort of that idea, that sort of data feed, or if you're doing a similar thing yourself, to make better suggestions?
Yes, so exactly the same. So once we start understanding who is the actual buyers who are buying from you and compare it to the data that we have of the other consumers, then we can start to recommend based on those patterns these segments of individuals based on their LLM recommendation, actually comparing both patterns together. And after that, there is an optimization loop. So we see from this recommendation, was it a good one or a bad one? What's the result? And then you start learning. So next time it just gets better and better and better with more recommendations. So this is actually how we use it.
Okay, all right. Now, Dale, how does all that stuff circle back to what you think about?
Yeah, what I would love, for each individual e-commerce site for your audience, if it were possible to look at the data that Ahmed and Eduardo are looking at to understand the current buyers so that we can profile that audience and then find that audience out on the web. So basically helping us to identify the right influencers and private forums even that we could look for to find more of these types of customers that you guys are seeing in the data. So I wonder if it's possible to integrate what you guys are doing with a platform like SparkToro that helps people find audiences.
Yeah, that's super cool. All right. Now I want to jump into what do we think is going to happen? So are ads coming to LLMs? Are we suddenly going to get? It seems like Sam Altman and Johnny Ive are making an earpiece because they're getting sued by an earpiece company. So are we going to have earpiece audiences versus phone audiences? And when do we get to the point where Eduardo, a platform like yours just says, hey, listen, I saw that there was this person on the site, so I changed the price so they would buy. So when does, what's going to happen? When do things get more automatic? Because right now, we have this great sort of level of assistance, but there's still so much decisioning that has to happen on the human side because, frankly, the data that's going into an LLM is not sufficient.
Yeah. So I'll start with a little bit on this. So we believe we are entering an era of autonomous e-commerce. And what does that mean? A small team can orchestrate multiple agents, and those agents will leverage other platforms, other technologies, or perhaps, will do specific tasks themselves to operate, e-commerce stores and all of the backend. That's where we are most influenced in the everyday store operations, marketing operations. So I think we're moving into a more like a high-speed trading platform where the AI has certain level of autonomy to make certain decisions based on what bandwidth you give it and what guardrails you give it, and they're obviously 24/7 looking after all your performance metrics. And it's also not just performance metrics, but it's contextual performance. So that's another magic part of the LMs, that you can have more context on what a metric and what performance is going and make better decisions. And if you leave it to the AI to do those decisions automatically, then it becomes an autonomous e-commerce. And that's what we like to call it. You can deploy 10, 15 default agents that we already have and not have to worry about those tasks specifically. I can get into what those are in terms of like inventory, performance marketing, etc. And so I do believe we're moving into a way faster paced, as I said, high metric trading, that you can just automate, orchestrate, and small teams can get so much more done.
All right, direct question to everyone. Please give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we going to have paid advertising inside of LLMs in the near term? Yeah,
100%.
All right. So, Dale, you and I are old enough to remember when paid ads were going to ruin Google search. It was terrible, awful, to ruin everything, and it kind of did eventually. It took 20 years, but it did, in fact, ruin Google. So, are we going to see the same thing with your ChatGPT experience, for instance?
Well, is the sky blue? I mean, there's a huge profit motive, obviously, for everyone involved. So everyone who's building these large language models, they are putting a ridiculous amount, billions and billions of dollars into these tools, and they expect to see a huge return.
Yeah.
It's always possible that there's a different business model out there, more of a usage-based model or a subscription model. That's possible, but what we've seen in the last 20 years is that for these tools that have mass adoption, the advertising model, frankly, is what people want, because the vast majority of people can use it for free, even though it's stealing their data.
All right. I want to get to one of the questions here. So that was so for Magdalena, that was for you. So I think advertising is absolutely happening, and I would imagine it's. Though I'm going to guess, by the way, that the advertising is going to be much more of the Mark Zuckerberg. We're just going to grab your data and present it the way that we want, rather than having you do anything with it. That's my thought. But Andre has a question about live shopping and live e-commerce. Now I know that is an enormous way of commerce modality in Asia. It has not really taken off too much here, but the TikTok shop is proving us a little bit different, because I do know that you see people talking for hours about their e-bike that they want you to buy, and it's just like QVC is moved out of your grandmother's television screen and onto your phone. So do you think that that's going to be a model that continues to grow?
Just like a yes or no from seeing how the trend is.
Is it going to keep on growing?
I don't think so. At least in Europe, as per the question, I'm not familiar with the European market, but for US, where I'm based, I don't think it's gonna be grow same as it is in Asia or in China, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think that from my perspective, that's more of a cultural thing than
Yeah.
than a
Yes.
commerce thing. But believe it or not, I have been wrong before. So, which is crazy, totally crazy.
So many times I agree.
All right, so Dale, I know that you guys just hired a head of AI thinking or something, or you're searching for somebody. And Eduardo, obviously, you've built an entire company around creating an AI wrapper. Do marketers, do the brands need to invest in their own AI enabled thinkers, or no? Actually, so do they need to invest in an AI expert to sort of fundamentally push AI into all corners of their business, or is that better left to people who think about AI and nothing else?
So I think there's two things people should be investing in, as you said, big marketers. First, obviously learning the tools of AI and what they can do. It moves so fast, and there's new tools and new things you can do so quickly that you have to be looking for the next thing. And there's an edge to that. So if you want to, be ahead, you have to be trying new tools, getting in calls and seeing if products are going to help your business and your marketing strategy. Absolutely. So that's one thing. And another thing they should invest is perhaps not bring, sure, you can bring an AI expert into the firm, but I would recommend more organizing data. I think data is such a moat, and organizing it, understanding it. The typical garbage in, garbage out, if your data as a brand, as a marketer, is not well organized and it's siloed and you have a big mess.
So that's everybody. Nobody's data is good. That's the universal.
Well, then I think that's where data has become even more important now, because that's the currency, that's the language that AIs understand. So yeah, if everybody's data is a mess, well, then there's an opportunity for marketers to be cutting edge and have your data well organized. That's perfect.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is marketers need to hire more nerds.
Yes, absolutely, I agree.
Marketers used to be the cool guys wearing cool shirts and stuff.
There's cool nerds too, Tim. There's cool nerds too.
Okay, all right. And Dale, what has your experience been bringing, or again, I'm not sure if you have, but I know you were looking for someone to sort of own AI innovation in your shop. Is that the right way to go?
Well, it's the right way to go for a marketing agency like mine. We're basically deploying AI in-house on behalf of our clients. What our clients expect is for us to be AI experts so that they're getting full value of AI's capabilities, but they don't want to have to learn it on their own.
Yeah.
All the nooks and crannies, right? So for us as a marketing agency, yes, we hired somebody full-time. He's the head of innovation. He's responsible for making sure that our clients are getting full value out of AI technology. But for a brand, you really want to outsource a lot of that, whether it's tools like Eduardo's or vendors or agencies that are adept at AI. Look at every agency that you're working with right now. If they're not AI experts, then there's an agency out there that could give you double the value because they've invested in AI. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is how you and your staff are using AI internally. And there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of prompting frameworks, there's a lot of noise out there. What I always tell people is, for your own internal usage of AI, just learn ChatGPT, full stop. If you were to learn all of the features in ChatGPT, custom GPTs, prompting, their memory feature, it generates images. If you just learn that one tool and stop getting distracted by all these different tools that your friends are telling you about, that will get you 80% of the way there. And you could spend the rest of the year learning that one tool. So that's what I would do there.
Right. So essentially it's since the layering of AI on top of everything is becoming ubiquitous, every platform, every SaaS platform, or every service that you currently use is going to layer some level of AI on top of it because it's relatively It's becoming relatively simple. But you think that it's still the way to do it, rather than thinking that you've got to build something that's on top of all this other stuff, is to actually sort of have individual mastery of what can be done, and then apply that to all of the tools that you already use.
For your own personal productivity, learn ChatGPT, and don't pay the switching cost of learning a lot of different tools. But there are going to be many tools out there that you would never build yourself. Prediction tools, forecasting tools, My Fantasy tool that looks at your orders and then figures out where on the web you could find more of that audience. Like, you're not going to build those yourself.
By the way, I think that sounds like Ahmed's tool. By the way.
There you go.
Yeah, we built that. No one needs to build it anymore in house. Like we have.
Right, so that's solved. Dale, you can talk about
that's all.
Okay. All right.
And then not to mention working with vendors, your agencies. Like, I can't stress this enough. Like, if you're working with a vendor that's not helping you understand how they are using AI on your behalf, and they're not asking you to just trust it, like they're explaining it to you such that you understand it. Like, you need new vendors. There are some agencies, maybe the top 10%, that are really ahead in that regard, and their clients are getting double the value right now. And then there are agencies, for whatever reason, they're just starting to learn AI for themselves, or they're ignoring it because they don't think it's going to be a big deal. Like, you're just not getting your money's worth working with those vendors.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We just got a couple minutes left. I want to get everybody a chance to have like final thoughts, and tell everybody where they can find you. So Dale, go ahead.
So in terms of where you can find me, I'm all over LinkedIn, Dale Bertrand. My agency is fireandspark.com. I also have an email address, dale@fireandspark.com. And one of the questions, Tim, that you asked was around how to optimize for these AI platforms so that your product, your brand shows up in conversation in AI platforms. And what I started to tell you, Tim, was I have a full day workshop based on my vector format. So definitely reach out to me, either email or LinkedIn, if anybody watching wants those materials.
Okay, Ahmed.
Yeah, it's easy to find me also. I'm available on LinkedIn. Our website is goaudience.com, and I also have an email. It's my first name of first initial of my name, so it's an@goaudience.com. And we can help by helping you find audiences and customers based on their historical spending data. So who is buying from your competitors, who would be, based on their spending data, are good fit for you and can help you target them, in addition to traffic score for your website visitors to tell you who are the right ones and convert. So that's what we do.
Eduardo.
You can find me on LinkedIn, pretty easy, with my full name on LinkedIn, and my email, edu@thinker.pro. Our website is thinker.pro. So it's very easy to find me. And I would love to, if anybody reaches out and want to start automating all the work they do in terms of operations and managing campaigns, using agents, and really, really saving time and optimizing, I'm happy to help them embark in the journey of automated e-commerce.
All right. And my name's Tim Kilroy. You can find me at timkilroy.com. And if you are an agency, I can help you grow your agency. And if you are a marketer, I can help you either find an agency or make sure that your agency is doing the right thing by you. And I am going to, and here's where we can, and I think we're now out of time. I think we're right. So that's it. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. This was a great chat. I appreciate your time and attention.
Bye-bye.
And rock on, and don't get turned into a robot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.